So you're most certainly aware of what happened in the previous fight of that was obviously cancelled of Lawson KEITA. He missed weight. His opponent Patricio Pitbull refused to confront him when he missed weight. If it happened again with you, would you still fight him?
I guess it would all depend on how much he missed weight by. You know, if he's missing weight by a pound, like my last opponent, no, the fight's still on. If he misses weight by 10 pounds, you know, obviously it's a different story. But yeah, I would always let my coaches make the decision. But yeah, I'm not going to turn down a fight because of, you know, a pound.
Last time we were here in London, you showed a beautiful display of boxing against my fellow Frenchman, Morgan Charrière. You also have great grappling. You show this at Polaris events. Are we going to expect a great grappling showdown on Saturday?
I think at the end of the day, it's mixed martial arts. And I don't really go into any fight with an actual game plan as such. I like to go in there and I just kind of learn as I go through the rounds. So if at any point I feel like the takedown's there and it will be a better chance to grapple, I will. But I also think that, you know, stylistically, this is a great matchup for me in the striking department.
You were labeled the prospect killer after your last fight. Is that a position that you like better than being the prospect?
No, it makes me feel old. You know, I'm only 32, so yeah, prospect killer makes me seem a bit older than I am.
Thank you.
Nathaniel? When we spoke, you voiced your frustrations about not having a ranked opponent. Everyone on social media said Nathaniel should be getting a ranked opponent or should be ranked right now. And so how do you feel about fighting someone who's making their debut?
It's frustrating. You know, obviously, KEITA's a big name. He's a tough opponent, but I'd rather someone that's in the top 10, top 15, which is what I feel like I deserve. But at the end of the day, I'm not the matchmakers. I just fight whoever they give me. KEITA was the name. They said, you want to be on the London card? That's who you've got. So, yeah, it's frustrating. But at the end of the day, I guess there's a lot more that happens behind the scenes that I don't see. You know, for all I know, maybe they did offer me someone to another guy and maybe they turned me down, or, you know, maybe everyone's not available. So I try not to look into it too much. I try and just focus on what I can control and yeah, just go in there and compete against KEITA on Saturday night.
And what's fight week been like for yourself? Because it's been GB top team's very busy. You've got many fighters on the UFC. You've got Pit on Cage Warriors. So what's it been like in the gym, in an environment where so many people from your gym are fighting at the same time?
It's great. If I'm honest, GB top team's always busy. You know, we have about 40, 50 pros in the gym, so there's someone fighting every other weekend. So, yeah, not much has changed, but the atmosphere has been great. You know, some of my main sparring partners are also fighting tomorrow night on Cage Warriors. So, yeah, it's been good to do a full camp with them.
And last one from me. I'm asking every UK fighter on the card, with the White House being so hyped up and talked about, one of the biggest stories in MMA, if there was a UK equivalent, where would you want it to be held and who would you want to fight?
If I'm honest, the only dream place I'd like to fight is Wembley Stadium. You know, I think that would be amazing. 80,000 people. I think the UFC could pull it off. So, yeah, if anything like that ever came about, that's my dream event.
And who would you want to fight at Wembley?
Whoever's got the belt at the time.
Thanks, Nathaniel.
Nathaniel, here in the middle. Hey, yes. Yesterday I talked with Lawson KEITA, and he thinks you are a harder opponent than Patricio Pitbull because you are a seasoned veteran here in the UFC. And this is the peak of the MMA scene. And what do you think about him? How do you see him ranked to your previous opponents?
I think it just shows where the respect is. You know, I appreciate how talented he is. He obviously thinks that I'm tougher than Pitbull, which I take as a compliment. I'm a lot younger than Pitbull. So, yeah, you know, I think at the end of the day, you've got two very talented martial artists, about to throw down, and hopefully we can make fireworks and go away with 100 grand.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, here, Nathaniel, just right here. Yeah, after two huge wins last year in London and in Abu Dhabi, do you think like a finish in front of your home crown can guarantee you a top 15 opponent for the future?
Do you know what? I don't know what I've got to do to get top 15, but yeah, I'd like to think so. I'd like to think that if I, you know, finish KEITA this Saturday, that maybe I would be in the rankings there and then. You know, I guess it all depends on how the fight goes and how well you finish it.
You make me the transition, because I hear you that the matchup you think is dangerous but perfect, because KEITA is like an aggressor. Can you a little bit talk about this, because it was on French media, but it was very interesting.
Yeah, styles make fights. I always do better against someone that's coming at me, you know, that's going to be aggressive. and KEITA is very aggressive. You know, I would struggle more personally with kind of, you know, the guys that are going to point, score and move, and guys that do very unorthodox things such as Jose de Galdo. You know, he landed a spinning elbow off a head kick. That's not often thrown. KEITA, very powerful, but his style's quite basic. Overhand rights, left hooks, quite standard. Of course, I respect it. He's very powerful. He's been finishing guys at lightweight. But I believe that my technical side of boxing is going to be able to, you know, carry me through that with no problems.
And the last one for me, your teammate, Lona Kavanagh, just won a few weeks ago against Moreno. A huge fight, huge opportunity for him. Does it give you some extra confidence? What's happened in your gym with your teammates and stuff like this?
Yeah, of course. I think as soon as, you know, Lonnie got matched with Moreno, we knew that he would do the job. You know, we know how talented he is. So for us, it wasn't a surprise.
Thank you very much.
Hi. According to the last fight of KEITA, you don't scare any about his weight?
I'm so sorry. Can you say it one more time?
Do you scared about the weight of KEITA because
No.
last time what happened?
No. I think missing your weight on your debut, he would be very, very silly to try and attempt it again if he wasn't 100% sure that he would make weight.
Over here, you said it was frustrating facing a debuting fighter instead of a ranked opponent like you would want. Do you feel disrespected being considered an underdog?
Yeah, I'm always disrespected. You know, I feel like I get disrespected all the time, and if I'm honest, I thrive off it. So, yeah, keep disrespecting me, and it will just give me more fuel.
Do you think you'll call someone out if you win on Saturday?
I don't think I get on the mic when it's the prelims. I think they just shoo us back. But backstage, maybe. But if I'm honest, I haven't got anyone in my mind other than KEITA at the moment.
How do you think the fight will play out? Do you think it will be a technical match or a brawl?
I think it's got potential to be either. I think KEITA will be happy. If I could easily make it a brawl, but I'm planning to make it more technical from my side.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Sorry here, Nathaniel.
Yep.
Going into this fight, obviously, again, you've been made the underdog, unfortunately. What is it about your game that you think people underestimate, and what is it that you believe you bring to the table that people should stop underestimating?
Maybe that I'm not getting the finishes, or maybe just that the guys I'm fighting have got that much hype behind them, you know, because Jose de Galdo, who I just fought, was obviously an up-and-coming stud. You know, he went into the UFC and absolutely smoked everyone that they put in front of him. Then, obviously, now KEITA, double octagon champ. You know, let's be honest, he's 17-0. You know, he hasn't really had a loss. So I don't know if maybe that the bookies are just looking at the guys I'm fighting and going, man, I think they're better than that kid. So, yeah, I don't look into it too much. But again, I prefer being the underdog. You know, I prefer people doubting me. It makes me thrive and train and fight that much harder.
Sorry, right, last one. You fought multiple times in London. What has been your favourite fight of yours so far in London?
I would just say my debut in London 02, you know, in 2019, just because it was the first one. You know, it was the most special one. So, yeah, for me, it would go down as that.
Hey, Nathaniel. Just wanted to say that your frustrations are shared, I think, and it's great that you go into a fight not wearing or carrying all of that, because a lot of your fan base do and share it as well. So, but just a quick question on it: what do you think you're not doing that you perhaps should be doing in order to get noticed or to get those opportunities a little higher up the rankings? We had some of the other fighters talk about how the game's changed this year with Paramount Plus and how matchups are happening. Do you have an idea as to what more you need to do to kind of...
I definitely think finishing the fights would have helped. You know, you've got that guy that just fought Josh Emmett, Kevin, that guy, he beat Giga, got a finish, boom, he's ranked. You know, I'm sitting there thinking I put on a better performance through 3 rounds against all of my last fights, but I'm not getting the finish. So to me, throwing a big loopy overhand right or a spinning elbow, it looks cool, but it doesn't really say to me that that person should be ranked in the top 10. And that's where I think maybe I'm going wrong. I'm not getting the finishes. And to me, I come away from my fights, and if it's a 3-round decision and I've put on a performance, I'm proud of it myself. Because I didn't get the finish, I'm not going to go home gutted. But I do understand that for entertainment purposes, they want to see finishes. So I would put it down to that mainly. And maybe I haven't got enough Instagram followers.
Last question.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Last question right here. So if, obviously you're not looking past KEITA, but if you get a finish in that fight and you get an opportunity to fight for a place in the top 15, would you rather fight Melchizedek Costa to steal his hype or Josh Emmett to build off of his name?
If I'm honest, I don't think I'd want to fight Josh Emmett now, just because obviously he's on that decline, and I just, yeah, for me as a martial artist, I don't really take away much from that. I think the guy's 41 or 42, and I'm like, come on, you know.
Still in the top 15 though.
He's still a beast, you know, but it's just not fair, and I don't think that I would take much pride in beating someone when they're out of their prime, you know. So yeah, for me, I'd rather a top 15 or top 10 guy who's a bit younger.
So Melchizedek Costa would be the target.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah,
Thank you.
lovely. Thank you, guys.